Welcome to the Minding My Business podcast. I'm your host, JD August, and I want to thank you for coming back. Business owners, entrepreneurs, sales professionals, and sales leaders. On today's episode of Minding My Business, I want to talk about the barriers to success. In every one of your positions, there's going to be challenges and sometimes what seems like insurmountable challenges. But today, I want to give you some keys, some things to consider that's going to help you to get over these challenges so that you can get to what's waiting for you on the other side. I want you to get something to write with and write down on your paper, over. O-V-E-R. Overcoming various elements of reluctance. So I'm going to give you 4 things to consider so that you can get over the toughest challenges that's going to come in your way. But I guarantee you, you will be able to overcome it. One of the barriers to success is having a lack of aspiration. Lack of aspiration. As an entrepreneur, you take higher risk because you are thinking about new ideas, big ideas. Sales professionals, you're not in a position where something is guaranteed. You are performance-based. And business owners, with the constant changing dynamic of your business and your industry, there is bound to be some challenges. So having a lack of aspiration, wanting to play it safe, could be one of the most dangerous things that you can do. Now, why do we want to play it safe? Well, probably because most people, when there's a challenge that's before them, or an idea that they're thinking about going into, we look at the pitfalls. We consider what could go wrong. And sometimes we visualize it so much to where we become incapable of moving forward. We play it safe. Most people see the pitfalls. And here's what I want you to do to be able to get over that. I want you to see the waterfalls. I want you to imagine, instead of what could go wrong, how is it going to feel when it goes right? I used to love TLC. They had this one song, Waterfalls. Absolute smash hit. I still love the song. But now as I consider the words of the song more, I see that it was absolutely wrong. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. A lack of aspiration. And unfortunately, a lot of us are still singing that song in our business, in our relationships, in our endeavors because we are looking at the pitfalls. So we try to play it safe and stick to what we know. But who knows that nothing great comes from doing the same old thing over and over again without an openness to look at new opportunities to expand yourself or to bring a new solution to your customers. You know who played it safe? You know who wanted to stick to the same lakes that they were used to? Blockbuster. Blockbuster, when streaming was coming out, said to themselves, oh, this thing is probably a phase that's just gonna pass by. Streaming, what is that? And unfortunately, they stuck to the lakes and the rivers that they were used to. And they were drowned by the waterfall of streaming services that now and today rule the world. And blockbusters closed down all around the world. So, lack of aspiration. I don't want you to have a lack of aspiration. When you wake up in the morning and you have an idea, I want you to write that idea down. And then after you write that idea down, know that it's limited with the safety nets that we put for ourselves. So I want you to look back at the idea and make it even bigger. Make it even more intimidating, not for you, but intimidating to those that will have to confront your tenacity and your audacity to go after it. Aspire to be great. Aspire to overcome whatever the challenges are. And sometimes it's just the 6 inches between our ears. Number 2, barrier to success is a lack of self-awareness. Now, we talked about this in episode 1, where I went into the importance of identifying your blind spots and being able to see what may be coming, being able to see within you to understand what is it about me, what things do I have in my life and in the way that I think that could be stopping and limiting me from being able to move forward. But let's go deeper into that. One of the reasons why our blind spots remain blind spots is when we are reluctant to constructive feedback. As a coach and as a trainer for over 20 years, I have come to find out that my most productive sales professionals, leaders, and business owners have been those who have been open to constructive feedback. Once you get to the point where constructive feedback is always destructive to you, well, it's very hard to go up from there. So the next time someone shares feedback with you, don't take it personal. Maybe clean out your ears a little bit. We have this sales acronym that we used to share with service and sales professionals. Q-tip. Quit taking it personal. Great advice should not be taken personal, even if it's not what you wanted to hear. I'll even tell you this. Once you can master being able to be self-aware and to receive feedback, you can even learn from your haters. Oh yes, even from your haters. You see, the beauty about haters is that they are super focused on your blind spots. They're telling you exactly what they see. And even if it's coming from the wrong intentions, if you use it correctly, it still serves the right purpose. So stop taking it personal. Take constructive feedback. Sit down, write it down, and ask yourself questions. Ask yourself the tough questions. And if you dare, ask the person who's sharing that feedback with you deeper questions so that you can find the solutions that will allow you to move forward. So don't have a lack of self-awareness. Having a mirror talk, being able to wake up in the morning and to look at yourself and you talk to yourself, giving yourself constructive feedback. Not only pumping yourself up, telling yourself that you are great, you should do that. But why don't you tell yourself where you are not great, where you're just being good, where you're being average? Because if you tell yourself first, then you won't be surprised when someone else identifies it as well. And you'll probably receive it with more grace. So having a lack of self-awareness is a barrier to success. So let's remove it. The third barrier to success that we have to surpass so that we can get over is a lack of curiosity. Mythbuster. Curiosity did not kill the cat. Didn't the cat have 9 lives anyways? But seriously, we hear things like that. Curiosity killed the cat. And I think phrases like that really made people scared of looking into and inquiring into new ideas. But we see that the entrepreneurs and the business owners that are doing great things inquired into new fields, new technologies, and new ideas because they were not scared to be curious. A lack of curiosity keeps you in a safe place. Safe for who? Safe for the competition, who's continually improving their product. Curiosity is such a beautiful thing. When you observe kids, this is one of the beautiful things about kids, is that they are so curious. They want to see how something works. They will look at it and ask questions as they get older because in curiosity, they grow. And that's how we come. We come from being able to be very curious about things and about the world around us so that we can learn more about it. But somewhere along the line, we stopped being curious. We stopped looking and learning. We stopped inquiring. Think about this. Inquire or expire? Which one would you prefer? See, when you don't inquire, you expire. The ideas expire. Your aspirations expire. I like to say it this way. The opportunity of a lifetime must be taken within the lifetime of the opportunity. So there are things that are going to come across your desk, and before you pass it off and not be curious about it, inquire. Because when that idea blows up, it has already expired for you. So inquire, keep fostering your sense of curiosity. I would suggest the arts, going to museums, going out into nature, doing practical things that keep you curious and learning about things that you don't understand. I personally love astrology. So looking into the stars and looking into videos that may be out there that teach me more about a space that I can't reach or see helps me to feel closer to that space. When you're walking into a new space, new business space, a new product, or as a new sales leader, hopefully my new sales leaders are here because you're in a new space. Maybe you were a top producer, but being a sales leader is completely different, isn't it? Now it's not about your production, it's about how can you inspire and motivate the production of your team. And that's a different skill set. Yes, you can transition and transfer what you know about the product, the objections that you overcome, but what else are you going to transfer to your team that's going to keep them motivated in the moments that you know they're going to come across? Be curious about leadership. Be curious about your team, finding out what pushes them, what gets them up in the morning. The more you know about something, the more that you'll be able to be successful in that endeavor. Curiosity is such a beautiful thing. Stay curious, stay learning. The fourth, reluctance that you have to get over and a barrier that you must address is going to be a lack of vulnerability. Being vulnerable, just the word in itself, feels vulnerable. Yeah, the definition of vulnerability, look it up. Who really wants to be vulnerable in a position where you can be hurt, in a position where you can feel pain? And because of that, a lot of leaders, business owners, and entrepreneurs are scared to share their weak areas. They're scared to be vulnerable to the positions that they're in, to show their weaknesses. There's a balance to that because you don't want to, of course, be vulnerable with the wrong people. But to be vulnerable with no one is a problem. So here's what I would suggest. Identify a mentor, someone that you can be real with, that you can be human with. You don't always have to have the S on your chest, business owner. You don't always have to have that S on your chest as an entrepreneur. Where can you go to allow someone to see that you don't have it all figured out? Hey, this is what I have, and I don't know what to do with this. Vulnerability allows you to ask the right questions. Because the person that doesn't ask questions, even though there is a need for them to ask the question, walks away without an answer. And to every problem, there is a solution. If there is no solution, then it's a fact of life and you must accept it. But if it's a problem, there is a solution. The only way that you're going to find solutions to tough problems, to the most hardest situations, is through vulnerability. It's allowing someone to say, hey, I need help. So maybe it's here. Maybe you drop a comment, message me. Actually, you can email me at mindingmybusinesspodcast@gmail.com. And if I can help you, I will. And I'll direct you to the right sources. But what do you need help with? If it's not a mentor, what about a group? Remember to subscribe because there's going to be a network of professionals here. And don't always come in ready to share. Sometimes we got to come in ready to learn. So being vulnerable is such a key thing. And it's not easy to necessarily find that safe space, but don't stop looking for it. So whether it's a group, a mentor, a family member, or your spouse, be vulnerable. Be real and be human with yourself. We want to overcome these various elements of reluctance. because these are the barriers to success. Now, when you do that, your tenacity, your ability to aspire, your ability to be self aware and to be curious will cause you to create pathways from roadblocks because you'll be able to push through and to get over whatever is in your way. Here's an exercise that I'd like for you to do. I want you to go ahead and to write down all of your barriers, all of the things that internally, be vulnerable with yourself, that you know that you're having a challenge with in any one of these areas. What stops you from aspiring? What stops you from being curious? What is it do you feel that's keeping you from being self-aware? And what's preventing you from being vulnerable? Get specific about some of those areas as well. Maybe it's rooted in something that you experienced at some point. Maybe you were fired, or you were not recognized at a previous position. Maybe you've started multiple businesses and they failed. So internally, you're struggling with the failure and the rejection that you've had over the years. Things seem to add up. So you want to be able to try to find the root cause of the things that are stopping you and write it down, because when you write it down, you can run with the vision. You can start thinking about what the solution is, because to every problem, there is what? There is a solution. So write down the details of where it may have derived from, and then just know that you can come over it. You're more than a conqueror. You're an overcomer. Now, this week, I want you to go ahead and to get over those challenges. And you're going to do that by what? Minding my business. I'm your host, JD August. Remember to subscribe, share this message with someone, and come back next week because we've got something lined up for you. But I want to thank you again for allowing me to be a service to you. Have a great week, team.